What's up, guys? My name is Johan Lund, and today I'm checking out the new updated version of the Hellbeast M80M by AudioSalt. Hey guys, so I'm really excited to be able to try out the new and updated version of the Hellbeast M80M by AudioSalt. I hope you like my demo in the beginning. And if you have any questions regarding how I got the tones in the demo or any other mixing questions, just hit me up in the comment section down below and I'll do my best to answer. The original Hellbeast has been around for quite a while now, and even though that M80M sounded really nice, AudioSalt have outdone themselves by far in this latest update. The amp is recreated from scratch, so the sound is more detailed than the original version, and they've added 2 new channels to the amp section, which makes this a 3-channel amp. And the first one is as with the original version, based off Randall Satan. The second one is based off a 14 Natus with some AudioSalt magic in it. And the second one is a clean amp, which is basically a combination of the 2. And even though this is considered to be a high gain beast, I can assure you can get really nice cleans and also some really nice crunchy tones out of it as well. And I'll go through this in a minute. So this is how it looks when you load it up. And the first thing you notice is that the GUI has been updated. So it looks really nice, if I can say so myself. And they've also added this Stompbox section here, as with the RVXX and the Sigma update, which has the gate pedal, the boost, and the drive. And these have also been updated in the GUI department. And if we jump over to the cab section, you'll find the by now standard dual cab loader, where you can blend different cabs together, either the really awesome IRs that are included in the plugin, or you can add your own third-party IRs and blend them together, or use them 100% if you'd like that. And down here you can see the new feature where you can change the mic placement of the IRs, which is really awesome. But I'll go through that in a minute. So next up we have the FX section, where you have your graphic EQ, delay, and reverb. If you check out the settings here, you can find your input routing, left, right, and stereo, oversampling up to 16 times. Graphics can be changed from native to OpenGL, and the amp model can be changed from standard to My Amp. And the My Amp section is a really cool gem which personalizes the M80M to you. It's supposed to mimic the way that normal amps work, since pretty much no amp sounds exactly the same. This feature is supposed to give you a unique tone. And it's a slight difference if you switch it on and off if you just have this loaded up. But if you stack them together, maybe a couple of tracks of rhythm guitars, some lead and melody guitars, and switch those on and off my amp to a standard amp, you can tell a slight difference in tonal character, which is really cool. So let's take a listen to how it sounds. I'm going to go through all the settings here, flick between the different channels, and I'm going to go through the Stompbox section, play around with some different cabs, try the microphone placement, and also the FX section. So let's start off with the amp as it is when you load it up. So this is how it sounds by total default. And I have no pre or post processing other than a limiter. And that's mainly for a volume control, so I don't break anything for you guys. So let's check it out how it sounds. Yeah, sounds really nice. And this is on the Randall Satan mode here, the channel 1, we can call that. Let's flick it over to the Fortin Natas channel 2. A bit darker. Let's try the first channel again. So it's a bit more spankier than the channel 2. Yeah, but it sounds really nice. You can just try out the clean channel as well. Yep, that sounds really cool as well. Well, let's just stick to the metals for now, right? I'm going to keep it on the Randall Satan mode and go through the different knobs. First of all, you have the gain stage here, where you have low gain, high gain, and overall gain. And you can choose between these depending on the tone you're after, of course. But also, recommendation is to choose between them depending on what tuning you're in. If you, for instance, have an 8-string guitar, which I have right now, a good idea is maybe to turn down the low gain, maybe crank some highs and add some extra gain, which makes the amp act a bit more tighter. If you're looking for an all-out maybe fuzz sound, you can just crank the low gain, reduce some highs, and have the gain as you prefer. So recommendation is, which I think sounds the best to start off with, is to crank the gain and then add some highs or lows or reduce them both accordingly, basically. Well, let's just see how it sounds when you crank them individually, and maybe you can find decent settings for this channel. Let's crank the lows. As you can hear, a bit more fuzzy tone. And crank the yeah, can really tell how that does. And crank the gain. Yeah, overall a nice gain there as well. So let's just keep it at max and maybe add some highs for this low tune guitar and reduce some lows and see how that sounds. Yeah, brutal. Tightens up the low end, but it's really nice in the gain there as well. So let's reduce some gain, crank up some more highs, or crank up some more lows, sorry, and check out how that sounds on the higher strings. Reduce some lows. Yeah, sounds really nice. So next up is the EQ section, where you have your basic bass, middle, and treble knobs. So let's take a listen to how that sounds, starting off with bass. Next up, treble. Next up, you have your sound controls, which is the depth, presence, and master knob. And the depth knob sounds like this, which overloads it quite quickly. Let's turn it down and see how that sounds. Which have nice depth to the sound. And presence knob. And the master knob, which acts as a saturator. So if you crank it, the volume doesn't increase, but you get a nice saturated sound. So you can hear how that reacts. If you turn it down, the sound goes away. But if you keep it at normal, it's by default not saturating. But if you crank it a bit, it will add some nice saturation, and can recommend it to use it as a boost, maybe a saturated boost when you have a bit of a crunchy tone, or if you have a clean tone that you want to saturate. Just dial in clean tone and then crank the master volume a bit, and you get a nice saturated clean tone. Lastly, we have the infamous kill button, which acts as a boost in the upper mid frequency is how I can describe it, according to how I've played through it anyway. So it sounds like this when you have it disengaged. And if you engage it, so, it tightens up the sound and adds some extra aggression to it. So what I'm curious to find out is how it sounds. As I mentioned, as you heard, the channel 2 mode was a bit more meatier, a bit more flubbier, maybe you can call it. If you engage the kill button, how would it sound like then? Everything else is at noon. And off. That sounds awesome. So there you have it. And if you want, you can just turn down some gain, as I said. Use whatever channel you want, and you can get some really nice crunchy tones as well. Yeah, that sounds really cool as well. But let's keep the gain at noon. Stick with the channel 1 here. And let's head over to the Stompbox section, where you have your gate, boost, and drive pedal. The gate pedal is pretty self-explanatory. Just turn this knob here, and it reacts. The further you turn it clockwise, it reacts basically. So next up is the boost pedal, which also is available on the RVXX and the Sigma amp sim. It acts pretty much same as with the high and low settings here on the amp. Basically pushes the low and the highs. It sounds like this when you have it engaged, just as it is. You can start off with having it off. And if you engage it, sounds like this. Bit extra boost. If you push the lows, you can tell it has a nice boost there. If you crank the highs, and the same as with the low and high boost on the amp section, this one really helps if you have down-tuned guitars, maybe 7 or 8 string guitars. You can really get some nice tighter low end on the 8-string guitars like this if you turn down the lows. Instead of having it off like this. Bit more flubbier. So that's the low and high boost, which is really great. Next up, we have the drive pedal, which acts like a tube screamer. We have your drive, level, and tone knob. And the way I have this set up is turn the drive all the way down, crank the level, maybe add some tone depending on what tone you're after. And in this way, it pushes the front end of the amp and gives it a bit more saturation, which helps it to control some low-end muddiness. And it really helps if you are after high-gain modern tone and play some down-tuned guitars, maybe 7 and 8 strings or down-tuned 6 strings. So this way is the way that I like to set it up. But I'm going to turn it off for now and jump over to the cab section. And as I mentioned, you have your dual cab loader here, and the buttons down here is same as well as with the RVXX and the Sigma. You have your phase flip, a low pass and high pass filter, a pan knob, and a level knob. And in the middle, you have your A and B knob, where you can either have the left or right side or blend them together the way you choose. The level knob here is really handy if you have third-party IRs or blend different IRs that are captured in different levels. You can easily just adjust accordingly to get a matched sound. So the brand new feature, which is really cool in my opinion, is the possibility to move the microphone in each IR. And on the left side, as the images entail here, you can either push it a bit more to the center or to the edge of the cone. Double click it to get it back to normal. On the right side here, you can add the distance between the cone and the microphone. Either push it right up against the cone to get it to basically destroy the sound, or have it a bit away from the cab to get a bit more of a room sound. So I'm going to stick with the Sigma 4x12 for this example and try and turn these dials to the left and right and see what it does to the sound basically. So have it completely neutral, and the Sigma is loaded. It sounds like this. If I turn it more to the left, it should be a bit more trebly. Let's hear it. Yeah, it acts the same way as if you would turn the microphone more to the center of the cone. So let's turn it to more of the side of the cone. It should be a bit bassier. Yeah, more bass. And in the middle, yeah, sounds as it is by default. So let's try and push the microphone even further in towards the cone. Yeah, and as you can hear, the further I go to the left, the more it breaks up and distorts. That's because the microphone gets closer to the cone and it increases in volume, basically. Let's turn it to the side here and see if it sounds a bit more roomier. Yeah, more facier and roomier. Yeah, it's a really cool thing to add some character to your IRs that are not there by default, basically. So it's really nice. But as I said, you can use this for third-party IRs as well. So I've loaded up my friend Ressington's Barefoot IR pack, which is free if you search for him on YouTube. Shout out to Ressington. He's an awesome YouTuber and makes a really nice IR pack. And it sounds like this by default if I use the Barefoot 2. And first of all, I'm just gonna engage the high pass filter since this IR is really bass heavy, which is nice if you want that, but I'm gonna High pass it a bit. Yeah, sounds really good there. And if I want to maybe have it a bit closer to the center of the cone, maybe just disengage the high pass and use this as an EQ. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, it worked. Sounds like this in the middle. Bass heavy. If you just turn it a bit closer to the cone. A bit more tighter. And push it a bit closer to the cone as well. A bit more away from the cone. Yeah, sounds a bit facier, which is the case if you pull the mic away from the cone. But this was a real nice surprise, actually. It works. Use it to EQ your IRs in afterwards, basically. You don't have to even touch the high pass or low pass filter. Yep, so there you have it. This is the dual cab loader with the extra added mic placement feature. I'm going to go over to the standard 4x12 as well for comparison, and head over to the FX section where you have your graphic EQ. Oh, it's really a nice tool to have to tailor the sound after the amp. Next up is the delay, where you have your delay in milliseconds. You have a sync button as well that syncs the BPM to your song or to your project. Feedback knob, width knob, and a mix knob. And the delay sounds like this. If you turn down the delay a bit like this. If you like to, you can just crank the feedback. Endless delay, which everyone likes, right? And next up is the reverb. You have your size, decay, tone, pre-delay, and mix. It sounds like this. Maybe add some size, add some mix. And if you add the delay and together with the reverb, maybe reduce some size, reduce some mix, you have a cool lead sound. If you if you're in a stadium, maybe you can just turn down the mix a bit and get some classic lead. Yeah, so sounds really nice. So head over to the amp section, switch over to the clean, and you have a really nice clean tone. With some reverb and delay. Yep, so that's pretty much it. A really nice update to an already awesome sounding amp sim. If you want more info on the amp sim, head over to audiosalt.com. You can find all the info there. And if you have any questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. And if you want to support me, please subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever I release a new video, and put a thumbs up to this demo. It really matters to me. And other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!